those on Facebook. Hopefully we've got a number of agents who have been able to join us, and some people from work who had to do it on their phones since they can't get into Facebook and company computers. But all right, it looks like, we're officially streaming here. We're going to go maybe one more minute. Again, as Linda mentioned, please use the chat box if you'd like to make any notes. We will probably have some time at the end of the program for a few questions if they're ready. Also on Facebook, you can engage as far as the activity. We'll be monitoring, we have folks monitoring that, and we'll send some info to Linda to share on screen and online. So, again, it's great to be able to work within this format. And I think, Linda, we're just about at the time. So I'm going to kick things off with a formal hello. For everybody on the call, my name is Steve Day. I'm president of National Agency Operation for the Fidelity National Financial family of companies. I'm shared this morning with Linda Grahovic, who is Director of National Education and Marketing for the FNF family of companies. And we're going to be conducting this in a very informal Facebook Zoom conversation. Linda, you want to share a little bit about our prior videos and what your thoughts were in setting this up?
Yes, definitely. So, back in March and April, Steve came to you via video that was pre-recorded. And obviously it was done because it was an issue-related type of video. We're in a crisis. We still are in a crisis, but we have gone through this crisis and we're still getting through it. He also did a second video around, what was it, Steve? July or August.
Yeah.
And that kind of gave you another recap of what was going on, how we were responding to the pandemic, the resources that were being provided. And because those two first videos were so issue related, we really wanted to come to you today a little bit more casual, a little bit more conversational, and we wanted to come to you live. So that was pretty much the inspiration of doing this third and final video for 2020 via Facebook Live. What's really great about this kind of platform is, number one, we're on social media, so anybody can kind of see us live. Also, we're on Zoom, so it's going to be recorded. So if there are people on your team that weren't able to join us, because we know you all are extremely busy, there will be a recording of this, and we're going to put it on our national agency website. So you'll still have the benefit of the discussion. So that was our inspiration.
Great. So why don't we, let me kick it off talking about 2020, because it has certainly been an interesting, challenging, and exciting year all rolled up into one. And, going back to the beginning of the year and looking at how January and February were playing along, we had heard about this virus, which was beginning, but not really focused in on that. And the market looked fairly strong. We had some good commercial activity, some solid residential, and I'll share some numbers in a second, but even the refinance market based upon interest rates at that time were fairly good. And then came March, and I'll always remember it because many of us were out at the ALTA Springboard out in Denver, and you could see the enhanced activity came back to Jacksonville, and the PGA Tour event at Ponte Vedra was canceled, and all of a sudden the seriousness came in as to where we're all going, and immediately the stay-at-home orders were issued. We started to move people out of operations. It was amazing. I think we were close to 100% on the agency side working from home. We certainly didn't have any business continuity plans that quite focused on shutting offices down without knowing when we're going to open them up again. And I still remember those first 4 to 6 weeks. We had daily executive calls every morning for a review. I know that, within the agency group, we were doing 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You could count on the team's call to get together with all the divisional managers, yourself, Darlene, Randy DeFore, Michelle Green, all focusing on everything that was getting thrown at us, the stay-at-home orders, the closures of the various registries, the new executive orders were coming out, working with each of the states to try to allow for the executive orders that would allow for a digital type of process in lieu to a personal process to continue to go on. And it was just crazy. I remember it seemed like the days would never end, the questions would never stop. But we were focused on getting as much information out to our agency base as we possibly could as quickly as possible. And I think we were very successful in that. And then who would have ever expected in the course of a pandemic, as we were working from home, but many of our agents weren't, being required to go in the offices because it was just becoming an exploding refi market. Certainly for the second quarter and going in, purchases were slowing, but then they started to escalate. But it was amazing how our industry really responded to the continued demand, and which was so important on overall economic conditions, because as we know, the real estate industry tends to be the rock basis for our economy and drive continued development. So it was so important that we as an industry found ways through, again, the executive orders where remote online was not available to allow for a digital process, to the drive-up closings, to dropping off packets on the front steps and watching notarization from 6 feet away. And it's a credit to our industry that allowed everything to move forward. But it's staggering. I pulled some of the numbers from our tidal wave numbers for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and then year to date. And you look at the trends, as I mentioned, for the first quarter, we were actually up on residential resale and then went down 10% on the second quarter, but rebounding to 28% now year over year, quarter over quarter, to a point where year to date, we're up 13% on resale. I think as we all sat in March and April, could never have imagined that we'd have a recovery relative to resales and be able to have these transactions.
And if we actually had more inventory, Steve, those numbers would have been higher.
You're right, because it was a very short inventory, certainly on the new purchase side. On residential refi, because of the activity towards the end of the quarter, we were actually up over 200% for the first quarter and 186% for the second quarter, slowing in the third as interest rates tended to moderate. And I think it just thought everybody had their first go around as far as refis down to just about 100% year over year, for year to date at 136%. But as we know, commercial fell off the cliff, down 23% in the second quarter, not recovering at all the third quarter, very flat, and we're down 4% so far year to date. So, all in all, just an amazing situation, but, where our industry continued to not only survive, but thrive through it all, and credit to all you on the call, our agents, our staff, really in allowing to pull this forward. But I think another important thing during 2020 is we didn't lose focus on not only meeting those challenges, but also looking to enhance and improve the services and the resources which we bring to our agents. So we were working two paths, continuing to be that support function during this escalating market, but two, looking to how we can continue to enhance the offerings we have. And one I'll start off with, I should say, I'll lead with, chuckle, is our educational platform, Lead, Linda. And you've been, key in its focus and development. So I'll stop for a second and let you talk a little bit about Lead.
Well, Lead, if some of the audience doesn't know what Lead is our virtual education center. But Lead is more than just a handful of courses that are available online. It's a lot more than that. And LEAD does stand for Developing Leaders Through Education, Advancement, and Development. So all the resources within LEAD are accessible to all of our agents. We have over 1,000 courses nationwide right now. Back in 2014, the Southwest started this educational platform. Then in 2016, it grew into the Midwest. By 2018, we expanded to 4 other venues throughout the country. And now here in 2020, where we have started to move into a new environment that is fully mobile. And what perfect timing, right? Because now everybody is more mobile. We're more mobile, we're more remote. And what's great about everything that we have in this educational platform, it could be customized to our agents. our reps in the field, our state managers, they can literally put together curriculums that would be advantageous to individual agents. So not only is this a virtual education center, it kind of acts as your own personal professor, or maybe even your own college advisor when it comes to education.
Great. Hey, I'm going to go into one technical thing. And Wayne, I know you're on the line and listening. It looks like we've capped out at 100 participants on Zoom. And I thought we had expanded that. So I don't know if we need, or Marianne, I'm going to get word out to any of the people who might be responding to please ask them to tune into Facebook Live, because I thought we had a larger number, but it looks like we probably, since it's not moved. Linda, do you think?
No, we definitely had a lot more. So I'll have Wayne look into it while we're speaking.
Great. So hopefully we can let a few people back in. Some of the other things which we did, we really had a focus on sales initiatives, and tip of the cap to Darlene Wilsey, who agreed to take on a national sales initiative to help our team to really work through not only continued sales development, but how you market to our agents in a remote environment, and working to help focus on techniques to get through that, and also expanding it to sales training for a number of our agents, which we're making available for them and their teams going forward. Next item is agent tracks. And again, there's so many ways that's a benefit. So Linda, just touch on that briefly as far as what enhancements were done to tracks to allow for our agents to have better access.
Yeah, Agent Tracks has really come a long way. Tara Asquith and her development team have done an amazing job. The system integrations, the creation of a dashboard, it makes it so much easier to navigate the site, all the enhancements to ePay. I will definitely say that Agent Tracks has really become our agents' backroom best friend.
That is great. And I know that another focus, and I hope everybody is utilizing it, is our national agency website, which you have enhanced and recreated to be more welcoming and also be a better resource for those who are trying to learn more about all of us within the Fidelity National family of companies. And the one final thing I'll note on 2020, and I was very pleased on this new addition to our team, was Chuck Kane coming on board the middle of the year and allowing us to really expand our exposure within the general industry. Chuck and I think for a number of years would either precede or follow each other on different podiums and different presentations. And he certainly has a wealth of knowledge in the industry, being actively engaged with ResPro and NAR and MBA and Fannie and Freddie. But one of the items that are really exciting is the institution of FNF Unplugged, was an idea that Chuck had shared with Linda. They have both adopted, incorporated, and for those of you who haven't taken a chance or taken the opportunity to follow some of the podcasts, we have some fun ones on there. We have some really interesting ones on there. And Linda, what is it? Once every 2 weeks, we're getting another content piece out there?
Well, right now, yeah, we're once every 10 days. So we're up to 13 episodes already. And we just started this at the end of the end of August. But here's the amazing part. We have over already 2,500 plays of these podcasts.
That's amazing.
We're really at a point where some other major corporations haven't, gone. And I think because there's such a variety. It's not just about title insurance. It's about our industry. It's about real estate. It's about people in our business. It's about sharing tips and tricks. And we try to have some fun with it too. We have, some legal items that we talk about, but then there's also some fun things too. I don't want anybody to miss the episode where Jason Nadeau talks about Fabio. I'll just leave it.
I haven't caught that yet. I'm gonna have to look for it.
But no, even the national agency website that you mentioned, Steve, all of our local websites are getting and updating this next year as well. So a lot of great things coming up on the horizon too. But Steve, I have a question for you, because this was a popular question that we received when we said we were going to do something Facebook Live. If you had a crystal ball, what would 2021 look like?
Wow. I think if anything, it is a little bit of a cloudy crystal ball, because there are so many conflicting factors and information that we get. I'll give a shout out to Rob Wyman, our divisional manager in the Midwest and Mid-South, who publishes a quarterly review as far as economic. He's the economist of our group, and has a great presentation. Any of the agents on the line or people within the company who'd like to be on Rob's distribution, just share your email with your agency rep. We'll get it on to him, and he shares a lot of details. But generally, in compiling, the info from MBA and from Fannie, the indications are that going into 2021, there is question as to whether or not this refi momentum is going to continue. That even though interest rates appear to stay fairly low, that there could be a pullback. Some say 30%, some say 50%, but they're still projecting low interest rates. So that's still, there's two big variables, I think, one on refi and one on commercial, and I'll get to commercial in a second. The positive thing is that everyone seems consistent that there will be a level of growth relative to resale, residential resale. And so that bodes well for us to have, a better than 2 years ago refi market, a improving resale. And I think probably the big question mark is on commercial. Although on the fourth quarter nationwide, we saw commercial activity begin to pick up, and it looks like it's going to be a solid December. There's really a question of, what is going to be the impact when forbearance stops, the inability, the limitations on foreclosures and evictions that are presently there in some of the orders. Will there be a pressure on office complexes relative to changes in how people work from home as opposed to working from there? So commercial will be interesting. And I think also an important component on even the resale or the refi side are any further actions by the government as far as the stimulus package, because that is going to be critical for all of those who continue to still be out of work, the small businesses that are suffering at this point in time. So with that, I think it could be a factor. So it is definitely a very cloudy crystal ball, but it's one that I think going into 2021 that we should, have a reasonable opportunity for the market to continue on and be positive for us.
Well, and I know I jumped the gun on that question, so I apologize, but
you threw our process off here, Linda.
I know, I always like to put a monkey wrench into things, but even in light of, that possible prediction, what is the one thing that agents really should be focused on right now?
In thinking about that and where we have spent the last 6 or 8 months focused as far as bringing resources to our agents, I think it's one word. I think it's digital. And I think it's for a lot of reasons. There's no question that it's been a buzzword for our industry for the last 3 to 5 years, and a lot of focus on how we digitize the process, and a lot of comments that the process up to the point when title gets involved is a seamless digital process, be it Rocket Mortgage, be it DocuSign documents, as far as the realtor transactions. And you get to title and it starts processing again in emails and paper, and the process just slows down. But I think one of the true impacts from the pandemic is a greater engagement of the consumer in the digital process broadly. Give you an example, and a personal one. Before the pandemic, my only involvement with Amazon was to know I needed Amazon Prime if I wanted to watch The Marvelous Ms. Maisel. So I signed up, had that there, had my access to all the movies, but didn't have a clue of what my wife and my daughter were all doing as far as purchasing. But with the limitations on getting out and wanting to go to stores and the like, I started to spend a little time on Amazon. And The difference is that, yes, in the past, we would do online orderings and you would work with it, but you'd be taking your time of filling out your credit card information, and you're really wondering, is it getting delivered in 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, as far as the items? Is it going to be right? What do you do for returns? And then along comes Amazon, and Amazon has it so that you could scroll through 50 different options. When you make your selection, you can throw it in your cart, or you can swipe and say buy immediately. Your information is already in there as far as the purchase. If you have Prime, more likely than not, it's coming tomorrow. And if you need to return it, you're going to be able to drop it off at a Kohl's or UPS or anything else. So of course, I've come hooked, and half my purchases are done there. And the reason to share it is that I think it's important for our agents to understand that this is the world that our consumers are used to. So even if you're focused on digital and the process and saying, yeah, I can deliver a certain thing digitally, you're going to need to bring that level of customer service to the digital process, because the consumer is not only wanted to know that they can get their documents electronically, but they're going to know that maybe they can execute some of those at their time and at their convenience and well before closing to make the closing more expedited. That they can use some type of tracking device to be able to follow along as to what the process is so they can keep informed. And they're going to be able to get all of their documentation delivered back to them in a digital format so they can store it in a way that they're familiar to store it. So I think, that's an important component. And we, of course, are focused extensively in looking to provide, some of the level of resources is through our related company, SoftPro, or looking to analyze those vendors that are available to our agents and do some of the vetting for those vendors to make sure that they're able to utilize those services.
I think that was a great analogy, because everything that we do, not only purchasing, is going to have that Amazon effect.
Right.
Better, stronger, faster. So if I can get my, whatever it is I want, a book delivered in a day, why can't I get my documents signed right away? I'm doing all that research, for particular things on the retail side. Consumers are doing the same thing on the digital side. They're doing all the research well before they're talking to a realtor and a lender or anybody involved in the transaction. So now that you mentioned digital, what about Ron? How's that fitting in?
Yeah, Ron is interesting because, as you know, it's been a factor in the industry. It's been highlighted quite a bit, again, prior to the pandemic, adopted now in 29 states. During the pandemic, it's been approved in a number of states by executive order, and we've allowed for certain Ron transactions to go forward. And I would say before this year, it was still not fully embraced by the consumers because they could not find a reason to want to modify what have been the current practices with regard to Ron. But again, I think a lot of that has changed with regard to the pandemic and this continued exposure for a lot of reasons. One of the limitations with Ron in the past was the inability of the consumer to have their personal resources to engage effectively in a Ron transaction. Well, be it because of work at home orders or businesses closing or the kids needing to work from home for schooling because the schools are closed, a lot of consumers have now upgraded their Wi-Fi, they've upgraded their equipment, they're now able to effectively be engaged. Plus, we know everybody now is familiar with Zoom, Teams, WebEx. It's amazing, again, from my end. I remember we had Teams on the computer and I knew it was there, but all I knew it was an annoying little beep when somebody wanted to send me a chat. I would, of course, ignore it, see their name, and just pick up the phone and give them a call. Now I don't think I could operate without Zoom and Teams and the video portion of Teams going forward. And I think with the consumer, again, with using Zoom for the family gatherings or for work or for school, and even more importantly, other areas that are adopting teledoc has become a key factor. And certainly a lot of people do it on FaceTime, but when they see the availability in a Zoom format because they've improved equipment, and a lot of hospitals and doctors are expanding their offerings relative to that as a focus, I think we're going to see more and more of that. So I do believe that if we have an agency that has just not focused in on Ron, it is time to look at it as an option. If you have it approved in your state, you should understand which vendors are available. We have assist in that regard, what equipment you're going to need, what the process can be. Can you become qualified yourself as a Ron notary? Do you need to utilize a service? What are the retention requirements? Now's the time to find it, because the consumer is going to come forward and say, I like this digital process, and to the extent I can get all or most of it done digitally, I want to do it.
Yeah, and as soon as the lenders are ready, because several lenders aren't even ready to do Ron closings, even though regulatory standards or state statutes say it's okay, but the lenders aren't ready. But to that same end, even if there isn't Ron available in a state, shouldn't agents start preparing now, like digitizing all their documents, making sure they've got, great broadband, making sure they've got, great cameras and, lighting and the ability to show certain documents online. They need all that, right? They need to.
Yeah, and even without a Ron process, I remember visiting agents in Virginia, which of course was the first with Ron, but more engaged in kind of a digital process. And one of the agents was highlighting how they were marketing to regional lenders who were comfortable with their initial documents being executed digitally and then presented digitally. So they were still conducting the settlement process. So you were having a wet sign, note, mortgage, settlement statements, the like, maybe one or two other documents, but that series of documents that consumers would want to take a little more time with and do not necessarily need advantage were all being done digitally, and the closing was taking 10, 15 minutes. And if you think of the marketing opportunity as an agent to go and provide that level of service to your regional lender and say, look, we can enhance the performance for you with regard to the customer. You then go to the realtor. Hey, look, we can really enhance that transaction. So they're going to highlight it and say, boy, the realtor I worked with really is on the cutting edge of getting this done. Not only was my purchase and sale done electronically, but most of the documents were. And it was a breeze, and I could have the tracking as the process. So there's a lot of opportunities even before a Ron environment, before digital notes are available, before an electronic mortgage may be acceptable. There's a lot that can be done. So yes, our agents really need to be informed and engaged, and to lean on FNF in that regard.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned lean on FNF, Steve. So what would our agents be surprised at and how they can lean on FNF, whether it's, stuff we already have or stuff we're thinking of doing?
Well, I think, there are several areas, and we're talking about digital. So let's start there. And you mentioned LEAD, and I think that's a great resource relative to different webinars and programs on everything from Ron to the digital process and going forward. But another thing I'm really excited about, and we have our Webby Award from ALTA concerning it, is our digital closing hub, which was just about a year ago, Linda, that we kicked it off. And what's great about it is Jason Nadeau, you mentioned before, our chief digital officer, is he and his team are actively engaged in providing content on the digital closing hub and helping keep our agents informed on a timely manner as to all of the things which we are rolling out and helping to provide. And what's really great for our agents relative to their customers is that the digital closing hub is not behind our firewall. No one needs to have a password to get into it. You can go and share the link and allow your customers to also be informed as to all of the things going on, so that as you look to market to them as to the advantages, they can have more information, be it a realtor, be it a lender, be it an attorney, help get them engaged, get them involved, and understand the whole process. Another key item that has just exploded over the last couple of years is our tidal wave initiative. Believe it or not, we're now up to 26 states where we're providing title production to our agents. So in a effective, efficient, quality product that they can monitor and use it as a variable cost rather than a fixed cost within our operations. And we continue to look to grow and expand the states, probably not too much out west where we don't have as much of an agency um,
Presence.
presence. Thank you. Freezing the word here. But certainly everything east of the Rockies, we're going to look to try to bring the tidal wave initiative there. We still have our model title company cooperative out there with regard to our focus on helping our agents as to their operational efficiencies, production, sales, marketing, and all. And let me talk about marketing, Linda. I know that has been a key factor for you. Why don't you talk a little bit about marketing and publications?
Oh, sure. Of course, it's dear to my heart, but we really have an initiative called Why FNF that we're going to be utilizing for prospecting and for gaining market share and getting the word out about all the resources we have. Because, like any large company, we have so much that even our own staff has a hard time finding some of the resources we have. So we're trying to put that in a better package, but we have some wonderful webinar sponsorships that we do. We distribute fraud insights every month. We have cybersecurity flyers that we updated during the entire COVID-19 and then are posted on that page. We have our FNF in 5 that comes out every other month, where we highlight some social media education. We also spotlight an operation, and we spotlight one of our great agents in the field. We also have an entire marketing but a storefront that our agents can go to, self-service, where they can plug in their own brand and generate a PDF or actually order collateral. So we have a lot out there, and I'm always looking for ways to not only market ourselves as FNF, but also how do we market or help our agents market to their customers? How do we resonate that great message of what we do and how we do it?
That's great. And just expanding on that a little bit, we also have our preferred provider, which is listed on the National Agency website. Rick Diamond helps to coordinate that. And I mentioned earlier about us helping to vet in a lot of these vendors that our agents need to focus in on for services that we don't provide. There's no reason for us to recreate the wheel when someone else is already providing exceptional service. We can vet it, very often get a discount for our agents to be able to provide it to them. So that's another area. And we've got some things coming down the road. Can't highlight them all now, but especially working in conjunction with SoftPro and in this digital environment that I think will really be a major benefit for our agents. So please be sure to line in. And when we talk about, what else would agents be surprised with? I think maybe hopefully not surprised, but throughout the whole process, we're still, and during this time in football season, we'll say we're still doing the blocking and tackling. We're still focused on the key components of helping our agents in their operations, having, the best talented and the greatest number of underwriters in the industry. You had shared with me in some of our locations, we have more underwriters than we have agency consultants. We have our agency consultants, not our representatives, but our consultants who are out there in a consultative approach with our agents, trying to work with them in looking to understand what their challenges are, work with them on that, but also looking to work with them as to what their opportunities are and how we can best work with them on that. And of course, it is FNF. It's the FNF family of companies, the largest underwriter in the company. We take those resources to continue to grow and develop for the best interest of our agents.
Yeah, we at heart, our job is underwriting. So that's why it's always has to be the primary focus. In 2020, we wanted our agents to really be aware and be prepared on so many different levels. Mm-hmm. So Steve, as president of National Agency, what are the key things that you are focused on?
Boy, I would say that I think just about each and every day, I'm focused on how can we bring value to our agents. I think of so many different initiatives that I'm focused in on, especially on looking to bring the resources available to our agents. But I think, as president of National Agency, that should be my driver as to, what is a way that I can be a resource to our agents? How can I drive that focus within our operations? As you know, Linda, When I was ALTA president, I, was one of my key initiatives with our values initiatives, talking about values and culture and how important that is in agency operations in setting the standards of exceptional customer service and moving forward. And I think in a lot of ways, we look to drive that within our organization. When we look at our agency consultants, when we look at our underwriters, when we look at our management team, it's all with a driven focus of how can we bring more value to our agents? How can we earn their business each and every day? That is what, the singular focus that we have as an organization, that we are out there looking to bring value each and every day, and then we can focus in on being that strategic partner in helping them to grow their agency and to further develop their business.
Well, Steve, I can't thank you enough, number one, for your leadership. Tell us a little bit about, that culture and being that facilitator.
It is one where, each time I go into an office, I always end with a comment that, my greatest role, my manager's greatest roles is to be a facilitator as to make them successful. What can we bring as to resources, talent, and the like to them to allow them to do the things they know to be successful? And hopefully that, is then shared similarly with our agents, that all of our team goes into the agency operations and focus in on what can we do to make you successful? How can we be that key facilitator? How can we be that consultative partner in really driving your success? And I believe, given our increasing market share on the agency side over the last several years, that we're doing a pretty good job of that.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. Do you have time for a couple questions?
Yeah, we have some questions. We're running a little over, but let's see if we can squeeze a few in.
Okay, we'll just squeeze a few in because some of them we've already covered. But where do you see refis looking, going forward?
Oh God, let's get the cloudy crystal ball out. It's, if you look at MBA and Fannie, they're talking 30 to 50% down from the current environment. But you also then look at reports that say interest rates are going to stay historically low throughout 2021. So I think, again, going back, that stimulus packages, the ability to maintain a number of small businesses, allow individuals to continue to feel that they have the ability to, if you don't have a job, you don't have a business, you're not going to be able to refi. So I think part of that could be a significant driver. It could be why both MBA and Fannie think about the pullback. But, with the potential upside that there may be a positive market coming out, maybe refis will only be down 20 or 30% rather than cut in half. But even at a 50% drop, it's going to be almost 100% more than it was during 2019. So still not a bad market.
Right. And there's going to be a lot of people that are coming out of forbearance that are going to need loan modifications. And I think it'd be great for our agents to start having, if they haven't already, have those conversations with their regional or local lenders about, okay, how are you going to handle these loan modifications? What can we do to help? How, what sort of title work is going to go into these loan mods too?
Yeah, it's a great point.
All right, let's see what, so anything you can share, Steve? This is a question, this is not me. Anything brand new that might be coming out for FNF agents in 2021? Besides really cool websites that they're going to see.
Yeah, and I wouldn't understate that. As you mentioned, we, with the success of the National Agency website, we're now going to each and every state to look to revise and enhance their websites to be consistent with the same graphics information, so that our agents, as they go to the NAW, gets the same local experience. I would say that probably I've had a number of conversations over the last, actually less than 10 days, about some key digital initiatives that are going to be coming out that our agents are going to be able to take advantage of. Unfortunately, it looks like first or second quarter before it gets released, and I'm not at liberty. But yeah, we do have some neat stuff that's on the board, hopefully to be released in early 2021.
Oh, okay. So everybody that tuned in got to hear it
Hopefully,
first, right? You
yeah.
got a little carrot that you put out. Do you think that, here's another question, do you think there's going to be even more enhancements on the agent track side when it comes to, audits or, anything on that line?
Yeah, I wish I had the specifics, but Tara Asquith, who works on the development, and she has a users group that helps to provide information. We are looking constantly to find ways to allow our agents to be able to interact through a single sign-on and be able to either obtain all of the documents and information they need or provide everything that we can provide to them that through our agent track. So there'll be more development. And as you mentioned that, we're also working with Rhino, which has a number of our agents as customers in a cooperative work with our audit group to help streamline the audit process so as to reduce the amount of time either on a desk audit as far as information that we require or on an audit, field audit, as to the amount of time in the agents by sharing some of the information that's already within Rhino, getting certain access. Kathy Chechi, who heads up our auditing group, thinks she can cut the audit time down by 50 to 70%.
Wow.
So that's a great benefit for our agents. We accomplish what we need to not only guide our agents, but to allow us to conduct the audit, but with saving as much time as possible. And we're going to continue to look at those type of activities where we continue to provide the services our agents need, but do it in an effective and efficient way so as to be less intrusive or to be more valuable to our agents.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our agents, just like ourselves, we tend to work in our business more than work on our business. So anything we can help on the back end or the back office will only help our agents work on their business more. So it looks like we have gone through all the questions. We have a lot of people on Facebook saying how great this was and that we need to do more often. So maybe the next time we should get together with our fireplaces in the background and.
Well, it's certainly and with kicking off a couple of things. One, it has been a very difficult 2020, and for all of those of you who are on the line who have had family members who have unfortunately been exposed to COVID and have experienced it, and or family members that have suffered through with their businesses or personally and the like. Please, thoughts and prayers are with all of you and best sentiments. And yes, we're all ready to put a wrap to 2020 and look forward to some of the positives, hopefully with, moving forward in 2021. But also, a thank you for all our agents who are on board for, your continued loyalty and allowing us to be your strategic partner and giving us the opportunity to earn your business. All of our members of our agency, consultants and staffs and underwriters who have logged in, thank you for powering through 2020. This is great. And to end, happy holidays to all, however you celebrate it, and as remotely as I know I'm going to be doing with my family. But let's get through 2020. Know that we're always here to be an assist at the Fidelity National Financial family of companies, and have a great holidays. So Linda, thank you for pulling us together. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, all.
Bye.